Hello colleagues, and welcome once again to Sociology at Work. Our guest today is Dr. Sue Malta. She's a research fellow from Melbourne in Australia with the National Ageing Research Institute, an organisation that's also known as NARI. As well as that job, Sue's also working as a researcher with the Royal Freemasons Homes Victoria, and she's also an adjunct research fellow with Swinburne University. Prior to becoming an applied sociologist, Sue completed her undergraduate degree in psychology. She enjoyed a vibrant career that included a business overseas. Sue returned to study sociology in the year 2000, and earlier this year she completed her PhD. While Sue was still doing her sociology degree, she was working as a research assistant on various academic projects, and she also completed an internship with local government. Sue also worked as a project officer for community development, also in local government. She was looking at social participation amongst older adults. Sue was formerly the editor of the Journal of Emerging Technologies in Society, and she's more recently become the co-editor of Nexus, the newsletter for the Australian Sociological Association. Sue's working on various health and ageing projects at the moment. One of these includes an evaluation of the effect of dementia training amongst hospital staff. Welcome, Sue.
Thanks, Alika.
So to start off, I wanted to just hear a little bit more about your really interesting career trajectory. Can you tell us more about your transition from education to work?
Sure. I'm a late life learner, so I didn't actually go to university when I was younger. I waited a long time before I went there, and I did all my degrees one after the other, actually. So, but my business in the States was helping relocated personnel and their families cope with the transition to moving, and it was quite difficult for some of them, and I provided social support services, and I felt like I was a counsellor. So my initial degree was in psychology because I thought I'd like to become a counsellor, really. I kept the business going in America and I thought, oh yeah, I'll become a counsellor. But then I discovered that I loved sociology and psychology went out the window for me. And so then I continued on with sociology because it's just fantastic. And working in sociology is a joy to me. I don't know how I got here. I feel like I've been really lucky to be able to apply it. I've worked in academia. I taught for a while, and I think I'm really good at teaching, but I actually prefer this. I love it. Researching and ageing is something that I'm very passionate about, and I don't think I've answered your question. Sorry.
No, that's fine. What you're saying is about following your passion, which really resonates with me, and I think you're also saying that a career in sociology is not necessarily a straight path, which was also the case in my experience. I wanted to ask you a little bit more about your current jobs. As you were saying before, you work with NARI and the Freemasons. Can you tell us a little bit more about the teams that you work with and your role within them, as well as the types of projects that you work on?
Sure. I work at NARI as a research fellow and a project coordinator. We are an interdisciplinary not-for-profit organisation, so everybody works in together. So it's there are physiotherapists, there are occupational therapists, there are psychologists, there are psychiatrists, social workers, sociologists. There are lots of different skills, and we all work across a range of ageing projects. We do evaluations of community development projects. We do our own projects that we get grants for. We apply for grants from philanthropic associations and NH and MRC, ARC grants, across a wide range of areas. I'm currently working on a project that's looking at social connectedness, which is what my honours was in, and that I'm very passionate about social connections, social isolation. And I also am working on another project. There's so many going on, sorry there. I find it really hard to focus on one particular project, and we're putting in grant applications all the time to, we help organisations write publications, for instance, if they don't have an academic unit. We do literature reviews. It's so varied, and that's why I love it, because you do something different just about every day. And at the Freemasons, for instance, I'm running a research program for them. I'm looking at their aged care facilities. I'm looking at how they run their aged care facilities, quality of life, basically, for their residents across a range of different sections of their aged care facilities.
You seem to be working in an area that's closely related to your PhD. Do you use your knowledge and skills from sociology, including theories and methods, in an explicit and direct way, or do you find yourself having to translate those sociology skills in order to be able to use them, or perhaps do you use them in a more general way?
I use qualitative and quantitative methods all the time. So I don't actually, the theory comes in when I'm writing up projects, but in terms of using theory every day, no, not so much. But I use evaluation methods all the time. I do qualitative interviewing. We do focus groups. I'm always constructing survey instruments. I use SPSS. Remember SPSS? Mm-hmm. I use that quite a lot. Just being able to know how to write a literature review, how to research and write a literature review, how to construct a project proposal. If I hadn't done social research methods, I wouldn't know how to do that. So I use it all the time. It's a fantastic boon for me in the area I'm working in.
Let's now talk a little bit about career advice for students. You did an internship with local government while you were still studying. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got involved with this project and how other students might follow similar work experience?
Sure. It was one of the best things I've ever done. It was in my last semester of my undergrad course, and it was offered at Swinburne University. They have a fantastic program where they match students who have a bent for social research, who are really interested in it and get the academic marks, the necessary ones. They have a list of projects that they offer second semester most years, I think, now, and it could be at the Australian Institute of Family Studies, for instance. It could be with Archers, the Health and Sexuality Centre at La Trobe. It could be anywhere. They are all, anyone, you could, if you had a project that you were working on and you needed an intern, you could apply. So, the Freemasons and NARI will be applying next year to have some social research internship students. I worked at the City of Maroondah on a project about social connection, and that project actually became my honours project. So I morphed it into my honours project. It gave me a lot of insight into doing real life research, even though the sociology course at Swinburne is very focused on doing projects and is very good grounding. Actually going out into what was ostensibly a workplace and having to do a project there gave me many more skills that I would never have got just doing a purely academic project.
We'll go back to theory and methods in a minute, but I just wanted to pick up something that you said. You were talking about writing proposals and reports. Do you find yourself writing in a similar way to the way that you wrote your PhD, or do you write project methodologies and literature reviews in a different way for your client work?
It's not as academic, but I'm a plain writer anyway. If you ever get a chance to read any of my thesis, I'm a very plain and simple writer. I believe that writing should be comprehensible, and so I don't tend to use a lot of convoluted language. I don't like to couch my writing in terms that most people couldn't understand. So I write plain and simply. So I think I do that in my project work, in my project reports too, because when we're putting together a project proposal or we're writing up an evaluation report, it's often going to bureaucrats, it's going to people in organisations, in community development, who might not have an academic background in the same sense that we do. So the fact that I write so plainly anyway is beneficial, because I find it's not difficult for me, and I don't have trouble with people misunderstanding what I've written.
Thank you. So throughout your studies, you actually published a lot in peer-reviewed journals and you attended conferences. Would you recommend that students publish in peer-reviewed publications in order to follow a similar line of work to yourself? Or are there other types of additional skills and qualifications that students should better focus on?
I think it's really important that you try to publish. My first publication was at the end of my honours year, but it was a refereed conference paper. So through TASA, one of the benefits of attending the TASA conference, if you do a full paper, if you submit a full paper presentation, it gets reviewed and then they publish it. So it's a refereed conference publication, and that's a very good start for anybody in their early career. And from there, it gives you experience of how to write a paper, and then you can follow that through by publishing further as you go along. What I didn't do, and I wish I had done, was write up my literature review in the early days and publish that. NARI does that a lot with some of their projects that they work on. If they do a literature review for a project, they will then try to publish it in a journal. And I think that's a very good skill to have, and it's a very good thing if you can do that whilst you're doing your honours or your PhD. And the more conferences you can attend, the better, but I understand there's also monetary restraints on that. I was very fortunate. Swinburne has a postgraduate conference scholarship, and I've received it on 2 separate occasions now, one for my honours and then one at the end of my PhD. So that actually helped me attend a couple of conferences. So I would encourage students to do that, to apply through their institutions, or do like TASA does. They offer conference scholarships, especially for sociologists outside of academia, and I think that would be a very good thing for others to do.
Wrapping things up, what do you think are the major challenges and opportunities facing students in the current job marketplace?
If you can get a lowly paid research assistant position somewhere, because let's face it, they are lowly paid, but they give you a grounding, they give you a foot in somewhere, organisations then get a chance to know you, to find out what you're like. If you're good at what you do, it doesn't take long for the word to spread. There are always projects going on somewhere. If you front up and you do the work that it's expected of you and you do a good job, it doesn't take long before the word gets around and your name gets passed on. So I would encourage anybody that can to do a social research internship, to find a research assistant position if they want to do research with their career. And yes, tutor at university as much as you can too, because tutoring is always great for honing your skills and cementing the theory. But I think the research assistant jobs are the ones that really catapult you into a career. I started at NARI as a research assistant, and I'm now a research fellow there. And I wouldn't have had that opportunity so soon after completing my PhD if I hadn't started as a research assistant.
I think it's like you say, a lot of applied careers do rely on networks. Was there anything else that you wanted to add or give any other piece of advice?
Well, you're never too old. You're never too old to learn. As I said at the start, I'm a late life learner. I started in 1999 doing a tertiary preparation for adults through TAFE, and because I couldn't get into university because I didn't finish high school. So if I can do this and get this far and get to being a PhD, then anyone can do it, because I don't consider myself the brightest spark, but I do persevere and I love what I'm doing. And I think if you have life experience, you've got a lot to offer any organisation. It helps you in your career. So never give up, just keep trying.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Very useful advice there. Thanks, Sue.
Thank you, Salika.
Thank you. For our viewers, don't forget to join our network at sociologyatwork.org. You can follow the links to read more about Sue's research in the description box below, and there'll also be links to our website and our social media pages. Don't forget to subscribe so that you get updates about our new videos. We have a couple of videos coming up on starting your own business, ethics in the workplace, and how to look for work. Thanks for your time, Sue. And to our viewers, enjoy your work, colleagues.
Bye.